Is it visible?
Yes, Vinay, visible.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Uh, Topic for today's discussion is ITC eligibility on leasehold improvements. So I have structured the presentation in this manner. Firstly, I will touch upon what is the ineligibility that is placed in 17.5 CV. I'll just read those two provisions just to refresh what are those exact phrase or words that are used. Then I will move on to see what is the definition or what is the meaning of immovable property, which is not defined under the GST law, but defined in General Clauses Act and Transfer of Property Act. Then we'll understand as to how to identify whether a particular thing can be called as an immovable property or not. I have given certain examples, so for us to better understand. Then we will go back again to 17.5 C and D to see what are the relevant points or what are the important aspects that has to be or what are the trigger points as per those two sections which are relevant for us, uh, which will help us to understand whether 17.5 C or D is applicable or not. After that, I have listed down all those I've listed down basically various examples when it comes to leasehold improvements, and then I will touch upon whether each of those items will be eligible or not eligible. And then lastly, I have certain open points which we all of us can discuss uh, to arrive at an answer. So this is the flow of my presentation. So as I said, firstly, so I thought I will touch upon this section, these two clauses specifically. I will read out these two clauses. Again, I will come back to this at a later point in time. 17.5C and 17.5D, it talks about ITC disallowance. C talks about works contract services when supplied for construction of a immovable property other than plant and machinery, except where it is an input service for further supply of works contract. D talks about goods or services or both received by a taxable person for construction of an immovable property other than plant and machinery on his own account, including when such goods or services or both are used in the course or furtherance of business. For this explanation is added for the purpose of this clause C and D. The expression construction includes reconstruction, renovation, additions, alterations, repairs to the extent of capitalization to the said immovable property. Again, there is another explanation at the end of the section 17.5, which deals with the expression plant and machinery. It says, for the purpose of this chapter and chapter 6, the expression plant and machinery means apparatus, equipment, and machinery which is fixed to earth by foundation or structural support that are used for making outward supply of goods or services or both, and includes such foundation and structural support but excludes land, building, or any civil structures, telecommunication towers, and pipelines outside the factory premises. Now, here I have highlighted a certain aspects of 17.5C and D, which are very important for us to understand whether if these are satisfied, then only 17.5 will come into place. Now, one thing that is very highlighting in this provision is that it should be for construction of an immovable property. Uh, Again, both 5C and D talks about an immovable property. As we all know, the term immovable property is not defined uh, in the GST law. So let us go to understand what is the definition or what is the meaning of an immovable property. Now, immovable property is defined in General Clauses Act, Clause 3, Subclause 26, which says it shall include land, benefits arising out of land, and things attached to the earth or permanently fastened to anything attached to the earth. So there are four legs to the immovable property here: land itself, or any benefit that is arising out of the land, like our lease right, which is a benefit arising out of land, any things that are attached to the earth, or anything that is permanently fastened to anything attached to the earth. So now another doubt can arise: what is anything that is attached to the earth? Let's go to Transfer of Property Act, Section 3, which defines or deals with anything that is attached deals with any attached to the earth. So the term attached to the earth means three elements. It has three elements. Anything that is rooted in the earth, as in the case of trees or shrubs. Anything that is embedded in the earth, as in the case of walls or buildings, and anything attached to what is so embedded for permanent beneficial enjoyment of that to which it is attached. So here, to simplify, whatever is rooted to the earth, like an example which is given, that is trees and shrubs, that forms part of attached to the earth. In case of our walls and buildings, which are embedded or which become part of the earth once it is brought into place, that is embedded in the earth. Now, it could be anything. Say, for example, I place a particular thing onto the wall for the beneficial attachment of the wall itself, then that also is covered in the meaning attached to the earth. I know this is a little complicated. So I have broken this down into various aspects as to how do we read and when does some particular aspect of when a particular thing or an object become an immovable property. Now, as I said, this is like a thumb rule which I thought is easy to understand. As a rule, anything that is attached to the earth. So first leg is what is permanently attached, permanently embedded. Here, nothing less than demolition is required for its removal. Now, example could be our buildings, our factory sheds, all these HSD yards, the treatment plants. Now, all of these are permanently embedded into the earth. When I mean permanently embedded into the earth, once they're brought into existence, they form part of the earth itself. As in, they are essentially they get mixed into them now. So they get fixed into the earth. As in, you cannot remove that without destroying it. So that's what I mean when permanently embedded. For example, a building wall, to break to remove it, it has to be broken down. So nothing less than breaking down the wall uh, is required to remove it. So thereby it is permanently embedded into the earth. Now a second leg was attached to those embedded for its permanent beneficial enjoyment. Now, for example, I have a door and window. Now, with the help of this door and window, I am able to enjoy the building to which it is attached. So I'm able to increase the ventilation, restrict the ventilation, do whatever I want with the doors and windows. So is the case with my internal partitions. Now I have temporarily movable partitions, but however, it is attached to those walls and to walls and floors for my beneficial enjoyment of the space that is confined within those four walls. Likewise, it could be workstation, it could be my electrical fittings, fall ceiling works, or my parking structures, etc. So all of these are attached to my building in such a way that I'm able to make the most permanent beneficial enjoyment out of the building. So this also forms part of my immovable property. The last is what is permanently fastened to anything attached to the above. I feel this is an overlap to the second limb that is covered above. Anyway, since this is covered specifically in the definition of immovable property in the General Clauses Act, so I thought that also I will include here. Now, what could be the examples that falls under this category? I could think of lifts, my elevators, or HVAC ducting. Now, all of these are permanently fastened to my building. Therefore, I feel these are also forming part of my immovable property. So, this was basically the rule that I have kept in mind for having the further discussion on what are the ITC disallowances or whether the ITC is eligible or not in my hand. Am I clear till here?
Yes, Vinay.
Okay. Now, let's go to 17.5 and C again, keeping in mind the definition of immovable property, or let's understand when 17.5 C&D will apply. Now, 17.5 starts off with, it uses the phrase in respect of. So it reads saying in respect of goods or services received for construction. So the phrase that is used is in respect of when the disallowance or restriction of ITC is placed. I feel this in respect of is a very wide usage. That is, say for example, we decide I want to construct a building, and that building is an immovable property. So anything and everything that has to go into the building to make it a fully functional building will get disallowed in 17.5 C&D. So I feel the purpose of this phrase in respect of is to make it wide enough to cover anything that is for construction of a particular building. So if a particular element has to form part of my building, say for example, your doors and windows uh, has to be a part of the building. Otherwise, the building is incomplete. So I feel in respect of in that angle can be used for understanding what all is covered. So let's take an example where I'm constructing a building. Now, building means it could be the foundation, it could be the structure, it could be just the four walls, or it could be the basic furniture that I do in terms of doors, windows, in terms of the partitions that I do internally, in terms of the basic furniture that I put. It could be like next level could be I could add my HVAC, I could have the air conditioning, I could have the elevators, I could have the lifts, and then the next could be I had uh, you know uh, better things like my water treatment plants, or it could be uh, your diesel yard, all of that. Now, what was the purpose of me bifurcating this into various legs was to understand what exactly is covered when they use the term in respect of. I feel in when they use the term in respect of, it should cover everything which is essential for a fully functional building. So it is not just the basic structure, it is not just the basic four walls that are raised, it also includes the basic furniture in terms of your uh, in terms of your doors, windows, or basic partitions that I do inside the building. It should always include basic lighting fixtures, electrical wiring that happens inside. It should also include all your air conditioning, all your lifts, elevators, so and so, etc. So,
So, sorry, Vinay.
sorry.
Sorry, Vinay. Do we have meaning of construction anywhere defined? Because meaning, understanding the meaning of construction is of great importance here.
So again, construction is also not defined anywhere.
Because as I understand, or anybody layman can understand, construction means it is only the civil construction, and it doesn't include anything else outside civil work. This is my understanding. Anything I'm doing in respect of civil work
Mhm.
falls under this block credit 17.5C. Anything else than this, like AC fitting, lift furniture, etc., I don't think there is any embargo on claiming ITC.
Okay,
Other
correct.
members can correct me if I'm wrong.
I was about to come to that, sir.
Yeah,
So the next was the construction part. So I just wanted to lay down what is the importance of in respect of, and then come down to say what was construction.
sure.
Okay. So having understood that 17.5 uses this phrase in respect of, now let's come and understand what 17.5 CD uses. That is, as Sir rightly pointed out, it talks about construction itself. So here, again, the term construction is not defined anywhere. So when we mean construction, generally it means raising a building. Now, it means again only the civil construction part. But to what I've interacted with the department, or to what discussions I've had with many of the uh, uh, officers or the commissioners, this construction is viewed to mean raising a complete building and not just restricted to the civil portion or the MEP that we say, mechanical engineering and plumbing. So thereby there is a little bit of confusion there. So, especially since the term construction is not defined to include not to include only the four walls and exclude something else. So there is a little bit of gray area there. But as Sir rightly pointed out, construction means only the civil part. It is only raising four walls, and anything extra that I do onto that is outside the purview of construction itself.
4 walls, foundation, and the ceiling.
Right,
So
MEP, four
yeah.
walls, and the foundation. Correct. Hello.
Yeah, carry on,
Okay.
carry on, please.
Plastering, painting.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, construction four wall, does it include plastering, painting?
No, again, if we go by that argument that it is just civil work, then plastering painting is just the aesthetic touch to the four walls that I do. But without those, plastering painting, those four walls are not usable. So if I go by the logic that those four walls are not usable without plastering and painting, then I can go to the extent saying that without the basic electrical fittings or without the basic furniture, I cannot use those four walls also. So we have to draw a line somewhere to say what is construction, what is not construction.
No, but now, Vinay, you have caused total confusion. You said in respect of is very wide. And then you said commissioner told you that it is the complete building. And then now you are Vinay, Ganesh and Mailar are negotiating with you what is construction and you are compromising on what is construction. You decide what is construction. Is it subjective so everyone can...
Hello?
You understand? Hello?
Sorry, sir, I lost you. Sorry, sir.
Vinay?
Yes, sir. So your voice is breaking, sir.
So what I was saying was, we started off saying that in respect of is very wide.
Correct.
And then Mailar and Ganesh jumped in and started negotiating with you about what is construction, and you accepted their offer that construction is only the bare shell. And somewhere in between, Commissioner gave some guidance that you about what is construction. So now, what is construction according to you?
Sir, according
in
to me,
respect of expand the scope or construction be limited to the language employed to what renders it a identifiable as a completed immovable property.
So to what I feel, I actually believe that construction, it's not just restricted to my civil portion. It should be everything to make it an identifiable immobile property.
So therefore, you disagree with what Ganesh is saying and what Mailar is saying. So Mailar Ganesh, he does not agree with what you say.
Yes, sir.
View is that construction goes beyond. Now, whether you accept it or not is for you to consider. But his position is that the construction is very, very wide. It covers bulb also, table, chair, lift, elevators, painting, fittings,
Computers.
fixtures, everything is included in construction.
Correct.
Now you have to now jump on him and tear him apart.
Taking that broad connotation of construction word.
So that is because of the phrase that is used in respect of. So reading that in respect of and the construction, and it also says of the immobile property. So reading these three elements, I feel construction is not just restricted to my civil construction. It means a complete building which I have to bring into existence.
That will lead us to a very absurdity position, Vinay. If I am going to include everything and everything under the sun, under the definition of construction, because construction has got its own, even as a layman, I said, if I try to understand meaning of construction, it is only the brick walls, foundation, and the ceiling, and nothing outside. Because apart from these things, I can do lot many things in the building, okay, including a pen, computer, workstations, AC fitting. I don't think those will form part of construction. So we need to go to the definition of this once word construction into the dictionary and try to understand if it is nowhere defined, including General Clauses Act. And that becomes a key here, because in respect, I understand it is a very broad term. In respect means it is very broad in relation to construction. So if we are defining the scope of construction, then it will be smooth sailing to understand what is covered here under the block credit.
Sure, sir. I
Then
actually
now you
did,
have to counter what Ganesh has to say. Please
sir,
counter what he's saying.
so as I said, the phrase, this word construction, I was not able to find any of those the statutes. So again, we have to go back to the definition. But what I feel is, what I believe is, when they say construction of an immovable property, if I just put those bricks and walls, I mean, it is not leading to any anywhere, because when they've restricted the construction of an immovable property, I feel they've restricted anything that goes into raising one complete building. Now, when they mean, for example, the construction is in the explanation, they've added reconstruction, renovation, addition, alteration, or repair. So these renovation, addition, alteration, repair, so there also, are we trying to say only civil part is covered and not the aesthetics part, like your plastering, painting, all of those?
Now, Ganesh would like to say
Yes.
that, but you have to now defend your position. If construction is now something that you want to park it aside for this morning's presentation, then you're welcome to do that. But we haven't concluded the discussion on construction.
So do I, but I
You
personally
have to
feel
decide whether you want to
construction.
conclude it or you want to park it aside. You have to decide and then accordingly proceed with the presentation.
Vinay,
Yes, sir.
no, actually, probably to whatever further discussion, you can just also discuss on whether the word construction is restricting immovable property or the term immovable property is expanding the scope of the word construction.
Thank you, sir. I was trying to actually say that. I'm trying to say the word immovable property is expanding the term construction.
But Vinay, isn't immovable property word of qualification? You will construct a LPG storage tank.
Mhm.
All right. You will do reconstruction of dentures of a accident patient. You will do reconstruction of his disfigured parts.
Mhm.
Immovable property is qualifying the word construction, or immovable property is expanding the word construction. Only that kind of construction which results in an immovable property is the construction being talked about. Construction of a spacecraft is not discussed here.
Okay.
No?
So can you repeat that, sir? When you say qualifying, I did not understand.
See, boy, good boy.
Okay.
Now, boy talks about the person's gender. Good boy is a qualification that only few people in Bangalore study group will get selected in that population. You
Okay.
understand?
Got
So
it.
like that, it's a word of qualification. It qualifies the noun, isn't it? By prescribing certain attributes. So immovable property is construction, can be constructing dentures, constructing the face, constructing the spacecraft.
Okay.
Movable property is a subset of the universe of things that can be constructed, isn't it?
Correct.
So what is construction is now at the heart of this debate. Either you conclude it or you consider that we will come back to this construction.
So I will come back to this, because I'll have to see this again from the qualifying aspect that you said, because I always believe this immovable property is expanding the scope of construction. Never thought of it in this way. I will get back to this. on the construction bit. Hello?
Okay, proceed.
Yeah. So again, this term construction also uses it is explained to say where renovation or reconstruction, addition or alteration has happened. It is restricted to the extent of capitalization. Now again, this can be done only when an immovable property exists. So I feel the original construction of an immovable property does not get restricted to the extent of capitalization, irrespective of its capitalization. I feel it should be ineligible. Only the elements of reconstruction, renovation, addition, alteration, or repair is what is restricted to the extent of capitalization. Now, this view was also accepted in this Jabalpur Entertainment Complex Private Limited AR. Again, it's an AR, but however, they've used the same logic where to say original construction itself need not be to the extent of capitalization, as in the ITC gets disallowed whether or not it is capitalized. But however, if it is renovation, reconstruction, addition, or repair, then only restriction applies where it is to the extent of capitalization. Now, the construction should be on his own account. So only then the disallowance happens. So if I've taken a subcontract to construct for some other person, then the disallowance does not apply. Another term that it uses is wherever it is renovation, repairs, alteration, it talks about to the capital. It says capitalization to the said immobile property. Now, the question that comes to mind is now whether this immobile property should be there in my books of accounts. Only then can I have additions or renovations that can be done to such immobile property. So, just to continue. So, for example, I have the original building in my books. Then I do some renovations or repairs, and if that renovation, repair, or addition is allowed to be capitalized as per the PP norms, then only the cost of such renovation, addition is what is restricted. But however, in case of leasehold improvements, now I do not have the original land or the building in my books. I only undertake a renovation or an addition, or in sometimes when I get the lease and I construct the new building. Now, in these two aspects, how do we see? What I feel is for when I construct a new building per se out of a leased land, I feel ITC is ineligible because for a new construction, this qualification is not there to the said immobile property, so ITC would be disallowed. For renovation and addition, what happens is all of us know that any addition or renovation that is done, it is always capitalized as a leasehold improvement if it is allowed in as per our PPE norms. So wherever a leasehold improvement is capitalized as leasehold improvements, I feel that also is capitalized to the said immobile property because the lease land, a lease right is a benefit that is arising out of land, and that is an immobile property. And also we recognize such lease rights in the books of accounts. So then any renovation that I do is again capitalized as a leasehold improvement. So going by this logic, I feel even for leasehold improvements, the ITC should be ineligible if it results in a immobile property.
No. See, now you're saying something very significant. Please go to slide number 4.
Okay, sir.
Sorry, please go to slide number 4.
Yes, sir, I'm on slide 4.
Where is the definition you had?
This one.
Yeah. Now here, those bottom 3 bullets that you have,
Yes, sir.
which of these are not relevant for 17.5 C and D?
So the first one again, rooted in the earth, I feel would not be relevant.
So therefore, immovable property definition. One more slide where something else was there. Benefits to arise from land. Where is that?
This is the one, sir.
Okay, so from the if you make a table of all the kinds of immovable property included in the definition of immovable property, and against that, if you say relevant, not relevant,
Mhm.
it will help us refine the scope of this discussion about which is attached. Because see what's happening, benefits to arise from land is different from lease rights. You understand?
Okay.
The right to lease is different from actual leasing it.
Mhm.
The
Correct.
owner has the right. See, you've heard of intangible immovable property. Have you heard of intangible immovable property?
No, sir. No. Intangible. immovable.
Tangible immovable property is land, building, trees, etc. Intangible immovable property are rights which are inherent in a person over a tangible immovable property. For example, to pluck the fruits in next year harvest.
Mhm. Okay.
This year there is no fruit. I only have the land and the tree. Land is immovable property, tree is immovable property. Next year this tree is going to give fruit.
Okay, sir.
I have a right today to the fruit of tomorrow.
Okay.
So this is a right in presente. It is my right today, but it is intangible right because the subject matter over which I can exercise those rights have not yet come into existence. So you have to separate. All these are immovable property, but GST is talking about a very, very small area within this universe of immovable properties, which refers only to tangible immovable property, which arises only by doing construction. If I grow trees,
Mhm.
it is not construction,
Correct.
but it is immovable property,
Mhm.
which is why Ganesh's point becomes relevant as to what is construction. By human ingenuity, if you bring into existence an
Mhm.
immovable property,
Okay.
that alone will come within the scope of construction, and all those intangible immovable property rights are outside. So the 17(5)(c) and D is a subset of a subset of a subset. Such a small, you must draw like a concentric circles
Okay.
and populate each circle with what will fit within the outer circle, which is not within 17(5)(c).
Mhm.
And then finally come to the innermost circle and say, this only is covered by 17(5)(c) with exceptions. Because otherwise this confusion is what's going to cause here. Leasehold
Okay.
improvement is a benefit arising from land. Constructing on leasehold land, you said, is not liable for ITC.
Correct.
So you understand. I don't know if you got it, but
I understood, sir. So we're trying to say this benefit is not, sorry, this benefits of arising out of land is for the landowner and not for the ones who's received it.
no, but benefit arising from land is immovable property. But benefits arising from land is not being discussed in 17(5)(c) and D, because benefits arising from land cannot be constructed.
Correct. So what the
Only
reason,
such of those immovable properties which are capable of being brought into existence via construction fall within the mischief of 17(5)(c) and D, and not the entire universe of immovable properties.
okay, sir. So basically, we have to try circle down what can be constructed out of these 8 or 9 things which is listed here.
Correct.
Understood.
There are many things which are listed there. Which of those are tangible? Out of those, which of those are caused by construction? And which of those are capitalized?
Got it, sir.
Original works, how can it not? Advanced ruling will say original works, even if it is not capitalized, will be block credit. But advanced ruling authority has no clue what is accounting standards.
Mhm.
So you leave advanced rulings aside. As chartered accountant, you have to bring your understanding to the presentation. So concentric circles finally will come into a small population, because it's impossible to charge off as revenue expenditure something that should be capitalized. We understand it best.
Correct, sir.
There is no negotiation between capital and revenue. It's, although subjective, it is very clear.
Correct.
Now proceed.
Sir, so reason for mentioning that that AR was just to say,
No, it's okay. Leave it. It's okay. Move on.
okay. So here, so then this confusion that I have, for example, in case of the leasehold improvements itself, if we circle down to the point that immovable property includes only my tangible buildings, now any, say for example, I take an office space on rent, I do the internal partitions, I do the work. All of these are movable. Like all the workstations are movable, all the partitions are movable, everything is movable. But eventually, this is capitalized as leasehold improvements. Now, can we go to the extent saying it is not capitalized to the said immovable property because that tangible immovable property is not in my books?
No. So everything capitalized is not immovable property.
Correct. Correct.
It may be capitalized, but need not be immovable property. Okay, no?
Correct, sir. Correct.
So therefore, because as accountants we use this expression leasehold improvements,
Mhm.
that is not the correct expression for the interior partition works in the real world.
Okay.
So we are assuming everyone understands the meaning of what is leasehold improvements. Now you capitalize it if the lease is less than is more than 1 year.
1 year. Correct, sir.
What if you have taken an office for 3 months and you have spent 100 crores in interior decoration? What will you do?
It will not be capitalized. You're right.
Correct. So neither is the quantum nor the longevity of any relevance. It is the intention for to put it to use and for a given duration.
Correct.
So we cannot say leasehold improvements ipso facto will be block credits.
Okay.
So what is the components of this? So if you go into those aspects, again you make a table here.
So we
Whereas
lost you
where
in between.
computation and combination of immovable property exists,
Huh.
which of those are fixed, which of those are fastened. That's the difference. Carpet is fixed so that it will not slide along with the person walking on the carpet.
Correct. Understood, sir.
So if you visualize it like that, you may be able to make a matrix of the small population that actually comes within the mischief of this
17.
leasehold improvement.
Understood. Okay, so the next slides are basically all the examples that I was trying to cover, which could be various elements of the leasehold improvements. Now, I can in what are the components that can come into place is the building, our civil structure, factory, superstructure. Now, because after constructing this becomes permanently embedded in the earth, so this is an immovable property, and this results in a construction of an immovable property. I believe this ITC is not eligible. Now comes the artificial partitioning or the interior works. Basically, here we cover the POP walls, the glass partitioning, false ceilings, electrical fittings. Now, these are per se immobile property if I look from the angle that these are attached for permanent beneficial enjoyment. Now, these are certainly embedded onto the walls or of the building for its beneficial enjoyment. Now, here I feel the discussion is whether ITC is dependent on, whether it is important to understand whether there is a construction, uh, you know, that is happening because I'm purchasing these products and fitting it into my building, and whether this is capitalized as leasehold improvements. Now, since I mean, I believe that construction is wide enough to cover all of these elements, ITC would be ineligible. So that's there. And also, as we were discussing that artificial partitioning and interior works is capitalized as my leasehold improvements. So there also it is capitalized in my books of accounts. So again, ITC is ineligible. Now coming to the aspect of lifts, elevators, and HVAC. Now, as I was saying, construction includes, because I went with the view that construction of an immovable property is raising a complete building. I believe lifts, elevators, escalators, everything is a must-have for a modern-day building, without which no one is going to, come to my building and take it on rent or lease. I believe that this has to be a part of a part of the building for it to be a complete building. Hence, ITC is not eligible. However, I had one uh, another alternate view where can it be if we read 17.5 C and D, it says if it's for a construction of immovable property other than plant and machinery. So there 17.5 C and D carves an exception that if a plant and machinery is constructed which is an immovable in nature, then the disallowance under 17.5 will not apply. Now, if we have to break down these lifts, escalators, HVAC, and elevators, it is not a one machine that is taken from somewhere and installed into my building. Rather, there are many components that go into the lifts. Uh, can we say that the construction of the plant and machinery is happening in the building, as in various elements of HVAC? So, for example, let me talk about HVAC. HVAC has these ducting that happens throughout the building. HVAC has these the air chillers that are kept on the terrace. HVAC has these compressors. So there are so many elements that go into the HVAC. There is no asset called HVAC per se. It is a manufactured or a constructed or a assembled asset that takes place in the building. So various elements are brought into place. They are fixed. They are fixed to make this HVAC system. So can we say that this HVAC is being constructed and it is a fully functioning plant and machinery in my books of accounts, and therefore it is getting escaped through the exception that is carved out in 17.5, and therefore HVAC, lifts, elevators, escalators, though it is a works contract, when most of the I've seen supplier invoices where these are invoiced as works contract. Though it is works contract, it can be taken out of the 17.5C and it can be claimed as eligible. So is this view correct, sir?
See, because it revolves around the basic assumption that you have made that a building is a building. Only after reception is wedding complete, you have decided. You understand? That definition is important. When is marriage complete?
Sir, so even assuming that construction includes a complete building also, can we say that in terms of HVAC or an elevator or an escalator, that I'm constructing a fully functioning plant and machinery in the building?
See, there is an assumption in the question. Fully functioning is itself an assumption that you have made, because then you will keep until there is a bottle of water in the building is not fully functional.
Correct. Understood.
There's no end to this fully functioning. Where did we bring this fully functioning into the picture? So we can't prove something out of an assumption.
So everything circles back to the meaning of construction.
Exactly.
So if the construction is not for a fully functioning, then all of this is naturally out.
No, this is fully functional. The expression fully functional itself is the heart of the debate. If we agree that fully functional is necessary to make this building get the identity as a building, and without being fully functional, it is WAP, then what you're saying is possible.
Okay.
But you have to now reconcile this fully functional and partly functional.
Understood.
To be able to get to the answer.
Understood. Got it. Now, the next component is our modular furniture, our electrical fittings, that is your light fixtures, it could be the fan or the aesthetic elements, and then the security systems. Now, again, Okay, it goes back to the same point as sir pointed out, whether it is a fully I mean, the clarity on fully functional or not. So I believe since restriction is for fully functional, ITC should be disallowed, because without any of these, my building is not complete. So yeah, that is where it is. So same goes with my electrical panels, the transformers, the generators. So should I redo this again after getting back on construction, because it looks like all of the slides, the answer is going to be ineligible only.
Now, what you're bringing out is an important point for all of us to consider, that this is how department is going to view credit being claimed on construction activity.
So I feel I'm being shadowed by that, because to be very frank, off late there's a lot of discussion that was happening, and then I think this entire
that's
thought
all right.
process is shadowed from that.
Don't second guess yourself. That's all right. You're bringing a very important perspective for all of us to consider why we think credit is eligible, and not simply jump on you and say credit should be allowed. You're bringing this perspective, so please continue confidently arguing for revenue. All right.
Correct.
Please continue. Please continue. Don't second guess your examples. You forcefully argue. You have to now pounce on Ganesh and Mylar and. Go ahead.
Sure, sir. So the next element was the electrical panels. So these electrical panels are, as I understand, that are used for regulating the electricity supply. Again, these are completely movable. They are not fixed onto the building. There are solar rooftops, which is used for generating electricity, transformers and generators. Now, these are again attached with the building for my beneficial enjoyment. Now, again, I believe these are essential for complete. Okay, if I can remove solar rooftop, the other three are essential for a construction of making a fully functional building. Hence, ITC would be not eligible. Here, there's a mistake in the slide, so please excuse that. Then comes the next question: lease premium on land. Now, whether ITC can be claimed on the lease premium that I pay on the land. Many times when we go through the objective of the lease, the long-term leases that are given, I have seen in many cases they've specifically mentioned that it is for construction of a building or a civil structure. So I believe this is a service that I'm getting for construction of a building. Hence, this has to be disallowed. So example could be, recently I was reading the agreement with the Railway Land Development. So there they specifically said X amount of the land should be used for constructing residential portion. X amount of the land should be used for constructing commercial buildings. So when the land itself is received with an objective that it should be used for construction, I believe that it is specifically covered in 17.5C, 17.5D, where it says services are received for construction. So hence ITC would be disallowed.
You just pause here for a little bit and consider.
Yes.
Don't abdicate interpretation of GST law to terms and conditions in the tender document. Why are they saying that 30% of the land, let's say, should be used for constructing residential building? The purpose is that the contractor who gets access to the land should not go and construct 80% of the of the land should not get used for residential building, and find that there is very little place for constructing the factory building. Or it should not be that he uses only 5% and then say that there is no insufficient residential accommodation. Whenever there is a covenant in a contract, examine whether it is a anti-avoidance covenant or a contractual covenant. Anti-avoidance will get purposive construction. Contractual covenants get strict construction. You cannot fertilize a lion with an elephant.
Correct.
don't abdicate interpretation. Don't give away the right to interpret GST law to the terms and conditions that was meant for an entirely different purpose.
Mhm. So that you rightly pointed out that 30% is for ensuring, I mean, for securing the interest. But whether it is commercial or residential, eventually I'm supposed to construct a building on that land.
So
So
to the extent of land eventually used for constructing will come within the mischief of this provision,
correct.
whether it is 35% or 27% or 10% or 80%.
Right, correct. So I was trying to bring in that aspect only. Maybe I didn't put it across correctly. So wherever the land is used for construction, I believe that that much of lease portion should be disallowed in 17.5.
But then Ganesh and Maila are going to disagree with you.
So in fact, there is an AR also, but I didn't want to put that
We
AR.
forget. Hyderabad, no?
AR and officers' views, we have to forget. We have to put them in the dustbin.
No, I actually didn't put it here because it was an AR. So
No, Hyderabad, is it?
Hyderabad AR, I think they have said it is not allowed.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, so that was
Dicyl chiral chemicals, Hyderabad. There the issue was very different. But actually just for information,
Mhm.
there are Mahindra World City in Chennai is a few hundred acres of land where all the companies who have constructed factory have been advised by Mahindra to
Mhm.
take ITC on the land lease that they pay Mahindra. And all the biggest law firms have given them written confirmation.
Okay.
So continue, please.
So any reason for that, sir? I mean, are you aware of the reason for that?
They're saying that the use of the land is different from putting up the structure. On the structure, you can't get credit, but the land is not used for putting up the structure. The land is leased for the purpose of the lessee,
Mhm.
the lessee's business. Putting up the structure can be anywhere in that land, so therefore the two cannot be tied together.
Okay.
Goods and services referred to in 17.5 C&D should refer only to 9954 and not 9972.
Mhm. Understood. So the next one was sewage treatment plant and HSD. Again, those since are essential for my building, ITC is disallowed. So that was next. Okay.
What if I capitalize ETP in a separate head of account in the FAR?
So then that argument that I was trying to place for HVAC and my the elevators. So same thing, if it's a functioning plant and machinery, I will be able to take the credits. But here the question would be on the civil structure, because in case of these STPs and WTPs, a lot of civil structures are involved, which is not just the foundational or the structural support. So we have to identify very clearly what is the only foundational part or the structural part, and disallow all other civil structures.
So this brings us to the question that again Ganesh pointed out about
Construction, correct.
Because when construction is carried out in a plant and machinery, there are passive components and active components.
Correct.
Passive components don't contribute to the process. Active components contribute to the transformation process.
Mhm.
So can we say that unless the equipment itself undergoes a change, it is not plant and machinery? Just because it is passive? So those questions come up for consideration. So therefore, anyway, when you come up with the construction definition, you will
So it's again circling back.
cover all these aspects.
Correct. So this is what I had for discussion today. I just had a couple of open points that I wanted everyone's view on. So what was the scope of in respect of, again, how do I read that, whether it is just a bare shell or is it a complete building in itself? And the lift aspect, which I was bringing in the plant and machinery angle, the explanation uses the term that it should be used for making outward supply. Now the elevator and HVAC, I don't have any direct correlation with the outward supply, but it indirectly contributes from the lease rents that I earn, unless I have a separate element of the fit out cost. So can we say that it is indirectly contributing to my outward supply, and therefore I'm eligible for HVAC? And also for academic interest, I just wanted to understand, we have two legs, but that is 17.5C, which talks about works contract, and 17.5D, which talks about goods services for immobile property. Now, works contract is also a service, so that can very well be covered in 17.5D. So I just wanted to understand what was the purpose of bifurcating 17.5C only for works contract and goods and services in 17.5D. So these are the three things that I wanted a little more clarity on.
Mylar, go for it.
Yeah. So first, in respect of scope of immobile property, I feel the mode of annexation and object of annexation is important. If anything, it is attached with the mode which requires substantial breakage, then it will not be. It will be immobile property. Less than it is not immobile property. The object is for the better enjoyment of immobile property. There is a building, then it is a immobile property. Otherwise, it is not immobile property. So we need
that way, it's not just the bare shell; it is everything else also.
So everything else we have to see mode and object.
Okay.
See, for example, a desk or a table which is kept on in the building. The mode of annexation, you need not. You can just remove it and you take it anywhere else. So plastering and paint, you can't remove it.
Correct.
So it is a immobile property.
So how do we, for example, there's electrical fittings. For example, I have these lights, basic lights that are required inside the building, without which I cannot, the ventilation is not there. So what about those cases? Like, do we say it's easily removable? See, I'm not talking about the wires that is going inside. I'm talking about the lights and the fans. It could be the AC. It could be all
Easily
the
removable. If it is not breaking the building, then it is not immobile property.
But the purpose of annexing those,
So both you have to satisfy. Both you have to satisfy object and mode of annexation. If one is satisfied, another is not satisfied, then it is not immobile property. Mode of annexation and object of annexation, both if it is satisfied, then it is immobile.
but again,
Mylar, let me just pause you here. Vinay, if I may.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Mylar, this mode of annexation and object of annexation, you are bringing a central access concept here. Be very careful.
Okay, sir.
I will ask you to give 2 examples. You can give answers. Is a hut a building or not? Don't ask questions. What is hut?
Okay.
Hut is a building or not? Now I know everyone knows what the answer Mylar is going to give. Keep the answer that Mylar has now given and examine this mode of annexation, purpose of annexation test. Now the answer is obvious. This mode of annexation, purpose of annexation test is outdated in GST. It was relevant in central excise. Point number 1. Point number 2. Circus tent, jumbo circus tent made of only tarpaulin is a building or not a building? Now you apply mode of annexation, purpose of annexation test. So therefore, there is a vanishing point where the central excess concepts will no longer work in GST. So don't be excessively relying on central excess principles. It is relevant, but only to a certain extent. Now the operative words to use here are beneficial enjoyment of the land. If you see section 4 of Transfer of Property Act, where they talk about Easements Act, how to enjoy the property. Without this, property cannot be enjoyed. There is some jurisprudence there that we can refer. So please be very careful when you use central access concept of mode of annexation and purpose of annexation test in GST. That's all. Thanks.
So for the second one, sir, how do we read that?
How the second one? No?
The plant and machinery one.
Why is there repetition in C and D?
That is one.
No,
and
not that. Not that.
The
What
second
is
is the above that, sir. So basically, I was trying to say that if we go on the principle that the construction is just the bare shell or the bare construction of civil structure, if we go on that construction includes everything, so elevators are naturally included in my building part. However, can we say that elevators and HVAC form a part of a separate plant and machinery, which I am constructing at the site of the building? Now, for me to
actually neither can be accepted as universal truth. Fully functional building on one end cannot be accepted as a universal truth, nor bare shell only as the universal rule that can apply. The universal rule lies somewhere in between. Suppose there is a building without windows. It is possible, no? Building need not have windows except for emergency exit. All full glass buildings.
Correct.
When there is full glass structure, one of the fundamental assumptions while sanctioning plan for that building is that there will be AHU. HVAC comes in later. There will be air handling units.
Okay.
If a building is approved to be constructed without windows, AHU becomes part of the essential identity of the building. But if it is not, if the building is approved with windows all over the place, then HVAC will not be part of the essential identity of the building.
Okay.
If it is above some X number of floors, I think 5 floors, without an elevator, you cannot get approval. So at the time of approved plan sanction, you will say statutory minimum 3 elevators should be there, 2 passenger elevator, 1 service elevator. But it turns out that they have 10 elevators in the building. So then the 3 is what completes the building. The other 7 do not complete the building. They can say the other 7, some are for people with special needs. Some elevators are for upper floor residents, premium residences.
Understood.
Some elevators are for people going to the mall.
Got it.
You understand?
Understood.
The answer lies fully or bare shell. Both may not do justice to the requirement. What is at the depending on the nature of the building we're talking about.
Understood. So how about this third one, sir? So the bifurcation between C and D.
Just provide tax planning.
So because see that 17.5D also allows the leeway in terms of on his own account. So if I have an outward works contract invoice, I could have, it allows me to take the credit because it's not on my own account.
I think objective of both 17.5C and D both are same. I may be wearing the hat of a owner and doing construction on my own, purchasing all the materials, or I may be working as a works contractor to plug both the loops. I think they have brought out two sub clauses under 17.5. But the purpose and objective of blocking the credit in, related to construction of immovable property remains common in both, uh, if I have understood correctly.
Okay.
If I'm giving my office for construction, I can give a turnkey project or I can buy material and labor separately. If the C is there, then we will go for D and we'll take material and service separately and says it is eligible. If I go, if they have given D but not C, then I'll go for a works contract and say it is not material and goods. So to cover all possibilities, they included C and D.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Okay, sir. So this
Hey,
is what
here in 17.5C, and I feel that even subcontracting also gets included under 17.5C. But there are other views where they say that subcontractor, if I'm doing work as a subcontractor, I'm not covered by 17.5C. There is a some ambiguity there, because as a subcontractor also I'm doing I'm doing what I'm doing is works contract work only. Maybe in the capacity of subcontractor or subcontractor, whatever it is, but it is still a works contract only. So if I'm doing that, I get covered under 17.5C.
understood.
No, but it is for further supply of one more house contract. So main work contractor will get the ITC. It is not bad.
Mhm.
Only the owner who is not getting the credit.
Venu sir, this is what I had for my discussion.
Got it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, there are a couple of points in the chat which I've also put and other questions. See, according to you, would that be forming part of immovable property, or what is your take on it?
Just a minute. So this transformers and Windows frame, again, it circles back to this thing, whether it is as we have to get back, whether it is a fully functional building or it's a bare shell, or is it the basic necessity that it is required in a building. So if I answer that question, then I'll be able to say whether it's yes or no. Then should be. So construction of immovable property. So anything included within immovable property should be there for construction. Construction is building, it would be civil work and anything building of immovable property. Okay. If painting is part of immovable property, isn't it part of word construction? Right? Should capitalization align with accounting principles, or is it acceptable to deviate from these principles and directly charge expense to profit and loss account to get benefit? For this question, so this capitalization, I feel we have to align it with accounting principles. If I put it to P&L account, I think you'll have a problem in income tax also, because this is something of capital nature. Maybe there it could be a bit of disallowance. So what I'll do, I'll just take a photo of this. I will include all of these in my presentation and I'll send it to you, sir. Because these are all examples of whether to cover or not. So I'll just make a note of all of these. I will include these as examples and then send it in the presentation, sir.
Surely, Vinay. Any other points by anyone? Okay, then
Sure,
I
sir.
think we can conclude for the day.
Sure, sir.
So, yeah, thank you, everyone.
sir.
And
Thank you.
Vinay, I want you to put all the points that have been
I will do
discussed.
that. I will do that.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, on the construction bit also, I will do a little bit of work and then add that
Sure.
slide also as to what could be
Sure.
the
Done.
element of construction. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah.